Hey, what's up, everybody? Rehabbers across the world. I am currently in New York City right now at the Harper Collins building. And reason I'm out here, of course, my new book, The Greatest You, which so many of you already have and so many of you love. And so I'm going to answer some questions here today about the book, some questions that you guys have. Below in the comments, make sure you comment where you're from, comment feedback on the book, what's been your favorite chapter, what's been your favorite takeaway. And the main question that I've received, of course, in writing this book is, why did I write this book? And a lot of you already know the answer to this, but just to kind of, reiterate the reason. For one, the biggest reason is because you guys, all the rehabbers across the world, you guys have been asking me to write a book. It's like, Trent, we love your videos. We love your messages. Can you put this in the book? I want to know more about your life. I want to know more about your story. And this book was a journey. Like, people don't understand. And I had to look back in the email to realize when we started this process. We started this process in 2016. And some of you, I know, are getting tired because I'm like, hey, the book is coming soon. It's coming soon. And I thought that, when you have a book that, you go through the process and the book comes out within a year. Didn't work like that. Obviously, the book came out in 2019, about a month ago, but the process was long. The process was, I don't want to use the word hard because I enjoyed it, but it was a tough process, and going back in the journey to, going back to times where I've tried to forget about. I had to go relive those times and making sure that I bring the most authentic me to this book. And I wanted to illustrate the rehab process. We don't really show it as far as like sections in the book, but how this book is broken down, and some of you know this because I've talked about it a lot of times. I mean, even the subtitle, Face Reality, Release Negativity, and Live Your Purpose. But the rehab process is a 3-part process, right? First of all, rehab stands for renewing every heart and body, if you don't know this. And also, rehab for me means putting strength back into a weakness. So I said, how can I, put this in the book where, it's not just my story, because I just want to tell my story, but how can I involve the rehabber? So we have 12 rehabber stories. Your stories are in here. And also, I was like, how can I give tangible advice at the same time, not just to inspire you, because motivation isn't enough, inspiration isn't enough. I wanted to give you guys some tactical steps to really take to really change your life. So I said, let me break it down to this rehab process. The first R is reality. And the first chapter of the book is that you'll never win your war by running from your battles. And if you know my story, you know that I was running very, very hard. My war was letting go of football. That was my identity. And for you, it might not be football. It might be a relationship. It might be a job. But you wrapped your whole life around this identity. And that was me. So I'm like, if I lose football, who am I going to be without it? Like, where is my life going to go? This is my everything. So if I lose my everything, then I have absolutely nothing. But I realized that I had to face it because I couldn't get through it. I couldn't overcome it unless I dealt with it. And so that first part of the rehab process, reality, is very important. And I know it's hard. I know it's fearful, but you have to face it. The second part of the book is based upon release. And the main chapter in this part that a lot of you love is burning bridges. The thing that I love to say is that, for one, people say don't burn bridges. I get what people are saying. Of course, you don't want to burn certain connections over misunderstanding, simple things that can be fixed, but there's certain bridges in your life that need to be burned. If you look at your life right now, every connection that you have, right, with people, with habits, every connection is a bridge. It's leading you to one or two places, either to the greatest you, to a better you, to a more improved you, or it's leading you back to a lesser you, right? A hurt you, a more confused you, a fearful you. And so for me, I knew where I wanted to go, but I understood this fact, and I want you to understand this. In order to move up, there's some things you must be willing to give up. There's certain bridges in your life that need to be burned because there's certain things your life cannot afford to go back to. So I walk you through this process in the book because it's easy. I wouldn't say it's easy, but it's a lot easier. It's a better way to put it, to burn bridges that you know are bad. Like, for a fact, this person isn't good for you. They're not going to change. They're not going to improve. They're not going to progress. So you burn that bridge. But there's also bridges that, where people are good people. They're not bad people. They haven't hurt you, but you just realize that their mindset is contagious. And you realize maybe they're not trying to go where you want to go, right? And that's a harder bridge to burn. And in that chapter, I really walk you through that process to help you burn those bridges that are a little bit harder to burn. The last part of the book is repair. Okay. And the repair process is where you understand the importance of relationships, when you understand digging up the bad seeds, where you understand, creating your legacy and what that means to you. Everybody watching this, even myself still, we have some seeds that have been planted inside of us since we were younger, right? So whether it was a teacher, whether it was your parent, whether it's a conversation that you didn't want to have with somebody, and they told you something, maybe it's they shot down your vision, they shot down your growth, and that stuck with you your whole entire life. And so this part of the book, I'm really helping you dig up those negative seeds and replace those seeds with seeds of positivity, with seeds of growth, understanding what your legacy is. And have you ever thought about that? Like, what's the legacy that you're going to leave? If you're a parent, what's the legacy you're going to leave to your kids? If you're an entrepreneur, what's the legacy, or influencer as we call ourselves these days? What's the legacy that you're going to leave in the world? One question that I ask myself probably too much is, what's going to really matter at the end of my life? And this book, I think, is going to, well, I don't even think, I know this book is going to give you a deeper dive into what that should really mean for you. And the greatest you, as you'll see in this book, is not tied to anything external. Some of you thinking, okay, well, the greatest me has to be in this job. It has to be in this, because everybody's telling you, you need more, you need to have this job. The greatest you is not nothing external. The greatest you is inside you. And that's the work that you're going to do in this book, to go back to the core of who you are, to find that real purpose. I think you're going to love the purpose chapter. I'm not going to spoil it. If you got the book, you know it. But if you haven't got it, get it. And I'm going to talk to you about how you find your purpose. And so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to answer some questions from people who have already bought the book right here that I have. And we're going to tackle it. I'm going to try to answer these as best as I can, like always, as real as I can put it straight from the heart. So this first question I have is from Lori from Villa Park, Illinois. Shout out, Lori. I appreciate you for buying the book. Her question is, what situation of yours made you reach out to the world? A lot of situations, my whole life. But to narrow it down to one, it had to be the death of one of my close friends, Anthony Arline. He committed suicide. And it's always hard for me to talk about this. If you read the book, which you have, Lori, I'm sure you saw that part of the book. And it was a promise that I made to him, because I had started the rehab process in my own life. I was living rehabish, which means I was progressing, but I was still 1 foot out, 1 foot in. I was still trying to find, who I was in this new world of mine, this newfound life. But when I went to his service, I promised Anthony, because I don't know the exact reason why he took his life, but I assumed that it had to deal with someone walking out his life. I assumed that it had to deal with him no longer having that football dream. And a lot of us, what happens is when we lose something or someone, we lose ourselves. And so my promise to Anthony was like, I'm going to make sure that I'm a voice for people when they lose something, they don't lose themselves. I'm going to make sure if somebody walks out of their life, they can find ways to allow that situation, allow that loss to turn into the greatest gain in their life. Because I feel like if he would have had those words, it was a better chance that he would have kept on living. So Anthony, my friend, is the reason why I want to reach out to the world. Is the commitment that I've made. It's a real reason. So I never will quit, ever, because he's more alive in my life than I ever been. Because if it wasn't for his situation, my promise to him, so many lives wouldn't be getting helped around the world. That's a great question, Lori. Ashley from Warren, Ohio. What made you want to inspire people? That's a great question, as I'm signing these books right now. So, I think I could answer that probably for 3 hours, but it was my rock bottom that made me want to inspire people. Because when I started Rehab Time, I don't know if any of you know this, I didn't start because I wanted to be a motivational speaker. I didn't start because I wanted to be an author. To be totally transparent with you, I didn't even read books at that time. So write a book? Yeah, right. I'm an introverted person. I saw a quote today, and I think it describes me perfectly. It said, you're a social introvert. And I think that describes me very perfectly. I love to stay in my own element, in my own zone. I love to, as you can see, protect my peace. But I knew that I had to share the things that I learned in my journey with the world, because it was selfish for me not to share my story. You guys know I love this quote: your transparency will lead to your transformation. Your transparency will lead to other people's transformation. So I didn't want to keep these things that I was learning to myself, because in order to change the world, we first have to change ourselves, inspire ourselves, motivate ourselves. It starts with you. But then in order to really heal, it's when you share your story with the world. And I found my healing not just in helping my own self, but in helping others, because it showed me that my past pain had purpose. It showed me everything that I went through wasn't just for me to go through it. It was to help other people get through it. So I'm an advocate for people to share their story. And you don't have to wait till you're healed or wait till you're there. Like, where is there anyway? It's about saying, you know what, I'm going to own it. I'm going to accept it. I'm going to give myself permission to not be perfect in a way of, not saying that you don't want to better your life, but so many people never share their story or never inspire people because they're afraid to be judged. I'll tell you right now, people are judging you regardless, so you might as well give them something great to judge anyway. So hope I answered your question. I know I probably answered 30 questions in that question, but I appreciate you, Ashley, for buying the book, and I appreciate you for your support. Arlene from Deltona, I hope I said that right, Florida. She says, hi, my name is Arlene. I feel that you are very inspirational. Looking forward to reading your book. God bless you. Well, that wasn't a question. That was a compliment. I appreciate you, Arlene, for that. And I want everybody to know that the inspiration that you see in me, we all have that greatness inside of us. It's not just available to me or certain people that you might see online. We all have that greatness inside of us, and our job is to unwrap that gift that's inside of you. Our job is to give our pain a voice. Our job is to share our testimonies. Our job is to turn our mess into a message, and that's available for us all. So when you look at me, there's nothing special about me. The only thing special about me is I decided to live the purpose, right, that God has for my life. That's the only thing. I decided to surrender to him. Stacy from Springtown, Texas. Texas in the building. I know where Springtown is, right by my house, by the way. Let me finish signing this book for you guys. And also, too, if you want a signed copy, okay, go to premiercollectibles.com/Trent. As you see, it is me signing these books personally. So make sure you get it if you want an autographed copy to maybe add to your room or whatever. If you support me, that would be totally awesome if you did that. So I'm trying to do two things at once. Let's go, Stacy from Springtown. If you can pick one piece of advice to share with someone who's struggling in their life, what would that be? Oh, there's so many. Well, I'll first tell you to watch my video, my spoken word, Your Life Isn't Over. I think those words are powerful. Just watch that video. But I would tell you this, your life isn't over. Your current situation is not your final destination. And when you change the meaning of pain to power, it changes your life. And I know that might be hard to do while you're in your storm. You're like, Trent, you don't understand what's going on. Everything's going wrong. Nothing is going right. But when I look back on my life, like, just think about this for a second. I wouldn't be able to be sitting here right now and I wouldn't be able to write this book, The Greatest You, if it wasn't for everything that I went through that was breaking me. If it wasn't for my struggle, if it wasn't for my setbacks. And so what I tell people, I'm not saying don't be proud of your struggle in the way of I'm going through a struggle or put yourself through struggle on purpose. But what I'm telling you, there's a greater purpose in the pain that you're going through. So if you say, you know what can I learn from this? Because a lot of times the meaning we give to struggle are, oh, this is tearing my life apart. Oh, I'm never going to move on from this, or this is going to ruin my life forever. But what if you change the meaning and say, you know what? This struggle sucks, but I'm going to allow this struggle to make me become something I wouldn't have became without it. I'm going to allow this struggle to make me find the strength inside of me that never would have came into my life if it wasn't for this struggle. So change the definition, change the meaning of your pain, and that gives your pain a voice. And that will help you turn your pain into your power. So that would be the advice that I would give to someone that's struggling right now. I appreciate you, Stacy, from Springtown, Texas, the great state of Texas, in the building. I appreciate you for that. Shauna from Knoxville, Tennessee. I'm going to take my horse to the Old Town Road. How long have you been doing inspirational videos on Facebook? Have you thought about making a DVD of your wonderful messages to sell? That's a great question, Shauna. So I've been doing inspirational videos for about, I would say the rehab time videos, because I was doing other type of videos. I was kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out. But I would say about the last 9 years that I've been doing this. I started rehab time in 2009. That's when I made the decision to actually change my life in 2009. And it's been a journey. So people don't know. A lot of people think, oh, Trent's an overnight success. Yeah, right. I've been putting in long, hard nights. I've dealt with failure. I've dealt with setback. I've dealt with putting on my own tour, traveling across the country myself and losing money doing that. But it was always about impact for me. And the consistency that I've been putting in for a decade has paid off to get to this year, right? I always feel like it always takes years to get to the year. And I feel like this is the year that is really like brought rehab time to the world and helping rehab the world. Have I thought about putting on DVD? Yeah, kind of. I feel like DVD is a little bit outdated these days, maybe, because everything's in a digital world. But we are working on a documentary that will probably be coming soon to theaters, maybe. So I don't want to just like promise you that, but you can kind of be looking forward to that in the future. We're having some conversations to bring a documentary to the world, maybe Netflix or to movie theaters. So that's a great question. Lindsay asks from Pleasant Gap, Pennsylvania. Y'all got some cities that I have never heard of before. So I'm learning some new cities today. Lindsay asks, who are your personal mentors? Lindsay, I'm going to answer this question to you, and you probably think like, yeah, right. But it's so true that my personal mentors, and I'll give you some names that you might know, just to kind of make it, I guess, cool to say. But my personal mentor is life, is you guys. It's hearing you guys' stories. It's learning from you guys. It's looking around, like where I get my content, where I get my information from. It's life. It's me looking around. It's me going through things. I still go through struggle. I want to be clear about that. Like, in order to be the greatest you, that doesn't mean that you don't go through struggle anymore. You don't deal with setbacks. You don't deal with depression. You don't deal with anxiety. You don't deal with questioning your worth. I still go through those things. The difference between me then and me now is I don't surrender to those things. When it comes to personal mentors in my life, my father is one. My mother is one. Shout out to my mom and dad. They've been there my whole entire life. Showed me example of what a marriage should look like. Showed me example of what a father, what a mother should look like. My two older brothers are my mentors. They taught me what to do and what not to do. So I learned a lot from them. And as far as people you might know, definitely people in the back of this book that you guys will see, John Maxwell. Thing about John that's so cool, John's like the leader of all leaders, right? John's big on leadership. And when I started getting into reading books, when I realized like, okay, in order to grow my life, I have to obtain knowledge that I don't have. So I said, let me pick up a book and start reading. And so I would go to Barnes & Nobles and I found John Maxwell. And the thing I loved about John Maxwell's work is that he gives you these cool quotes that are super tangible. He breaks down his books where they're so easy to read. And I was like, man, I didn't want to read a whole novel. So I was like, man, this is perfect. So John, he actually brought me to speak at his event. It was crazy. I'm like, this is surreal. Like, I'm here with the biggest leader and he thinks I'm a great leader. So that was a growth moment for me that made me happy. Rachel Hollis is another one. Her and Dave Hollis are great friends of mine, and my friends are my mentors now. So I learned a lot from them, from the book industry. I learned a lot from Rachel with her just being real and authentic and her growing her brand, and Dave, like, they're great people. Another person is Brendan Bouchard. Brendan, I learned from him, definitely the book industry. Brendan has taught me so much about growing a brand. He's brought a lot of the network of minds that you might see me around together that we can just help each other and feed off each other. And last but not least is Dean Graziosi. Dean is the reason why this book ever took place, because he put me with the right people to make this book happen. And from a business standpoint, Dean definitely helps me a lot. So those are personal mentors, and these are real. These are real endorsements. These aren't people I just said, hey, can you endorse my book? These are people I have real relationships with. And there's so many other people, Les Brown, TD Jakes, I never really met, but from a distance. I mean, so many people. Anybody that's given inspiration, I feel like are my mentors because it's something I can learn from them. That's a great question. Alma from Texas is in the building. Shout out to all my Texas people in the building. Midland, Texas, Alma says, how can you help someone heal their heart? Whew. That's a tough question. You know, the thing that I love to say is that you can't change someone. Okay, when people say, Trent, you changed my life, I correct them real quick. I didn't change your life. I believe God changed your life. I believe you took the responsibility to change your life. I can preach change. I can say, you got to change. And change is going to happen until you actually do it. And this book is going to help you do that, right? But you have to apply what you learn in the book. Buying a book doesn't change your life. Reading the book doesn't change your life. Applying what you're reading in the book changes your life. And so I realize that I can't change people, but I realize I can influence change on someone. So if you're trying to help someone heal their heart, all you can do is plant seeds in their life, right? Lead them to better information. Let them know that they're incredible. They have to face that process I talked about. They have to face their reality. They have to release the things in their life, because you can't heal your heart by staying in the pain that's breaking your heart. It's just facts. And so many people think that they can move on by keeping the things and people in their life that is causing them so much pain. So the first step to healing your heart is removing the pain, which is the hardest step. And I think once you do that, you'll find the necessary tools, whether it's books, whether it's information, to actually heal your life. And the best healer for me is giving my heart back to God. And God's the ultimate healer, so a prayer life is very important. So yes, you can help. You got to plant seeds in people's lives, but you can't change their life for them. You just can plant seeds in their life. That's a great question. Let's see what we got. Melissa from Twinsburg, Ohio. What part of Ohio is that in? I'm gonna have to visit there one day. What do you tell yourself to get back on track when you stumble? Well, I use leverage questions and our leverage statements. And so I don't beat myself up for one. We all are imperfect human beings. We all have our imperfections. And that's not an excuse to keep doing things that are hurting people, by the way. I want to be clear about that. But I tell myself, it's okay. You messed up. What can you learn from here? You're stumbling, you're slipping. I go do this, protecting my peace. I go hike. I go out in nature. I disconnect often. A lot of us, we're so turned on all the time. We're connecting all the time. The internet is a special place. The internet changed my life. Facebook changed my life to be able to connect with you guys. But we're so connected to our phones. We're so connected to the world. A lot of times we become disconnected to ourselves. We don't make ourselves priority anymore. What we do is we make everybody else priority. Self-care is not selfish. It's necessary. So a tactic, a strategy that I want to give you right now to help yourself get back on track is start living an intentional life. What do you mean by that, Trent? How you start your day will influence your day. A lot of people, what we do is the first thing we do is we grab our phone, right? We wake up, grab our phone. We're on defense. We're responding to the world. We're taking emails. We're taking calls. And now you're being responsive, right, to the world. Life is leading you, right? Life gives you stress. You're going to be stressful. Life is leading you when you're not being intentional. But when you're intentional, when you say, I'm not going to pick up my phone. I'm not going to respond. I'm going to take care of myself this morning. You start to lead life. And so the 4 A's, a lot of you know about this. It's not in the book actually, but it's something I talk about all the time. The 4 A's, okay? How to start your day. Write this down, apply it. And you guys that are in here, comment below if you've already started doing this and how it's helped your life. So the first A is wake up with appreciation, okay? Over 150,000 people die every night, 55 million people a year, right, die, right? And so life is not guaranteed. So wake up and be appreciative for life. And from the science, from the brain, it does so much for you that I could get into, but we don't have enough time for that. So wake up with appreciation. These are all things you can control. A lot of times we try to control things that are out of our control and wonder why our life is out of control, right? These are things that you can control. So number one, appreciation. Number two is affection. A hug a day keeps depression away. The thing that I do, I hug my daughter. And she always loves on me, right? My son is a little different. He's 10 years old, so he thinks he's the cool. So I got to run and make sure he hugs me. I hug my wife. A hug a day keeps depression away, and it's good for you. So affection is someone. If you don't have a person you can hug, go give encouragement to someone. Because when you show yourself you have value to give, it shows you that you're valuable, right? So the third thing that I do is accomplishment. Accomplishment. Start your day off with a win. How you start your day will influence your day. An accomplishment doesn't have to be something big. Maybe it's writing in your journal. Maybe it's making up your bed. Maybe it's washing dishes. Maybe it's, I used to go dunk a basketball outside. Just something to start your day off with a win, right? Momentum you're creating in your life as soon as you start your day. Last but not least is activity, okay? I love to go for a hike. I love to go for a run. You guys see me out in nature. I believe nature heals. I believe nature is God's natural medicine for the soul. And so I go out for a run. Those release endorphins in your life. And I can pretty much guarantee you that if you start your day off like that, you'll become a better person. You'll become the greatest you that day. I can guarantee you. In the days that I don't do it, because, a lot of people will tell you these morning routines. I do this every day, and they don't do it every day. I don't do it every day. I try my best to do it every day. And when I don't do it, I feel it, right? I feel it. So that's a great self-care practice that will help you stumble. It would help you prevent you from stumbling, right? And if you do stumble, you're in a better place to handle that stumble, if that makes sense. We're almost here, guys. I'm answering a few more questions. We're almost wrapping up, should I say. A few more questions as I sign the rest of these books. And remember, you can get these books, these signed autographed copies from me at premiercollectibles.com/Trent. Go get it, all right? Go get it. So, Julie from Norman, Oklahoma, what tips do you have for setting boundaries after a severe argument with a girlfriend? Okay, this is probably going to take up the rest of the time. So this is a good one. So this is the thing about anything. I call it art communication. It's about how you communicate with people, right? Understanding the power of communication. And even communication is oxygen to your relationship. And even if you take it further, connection is oxygen to your relationship, right? Being connected. So many times we become selfish in a relationship. And I'm not blaming you, Julie. I don't know your situation, but I promise you, if you turn it to be like, okay, what can I do better? How can I connect with this person better? Then it will put you in a better place. Selfishness does not create togetherness. There's no room for selfishness in a relationship, period, or in a friendship. You should never go into a relationship or argument saying, okay, I'm trying to prove myself right. I'm going to win this argument. Because if you go in there with that mindset, you've already lost. So in my marriage with my wife, I don't go into, if we have a disagreement, we come to a place, and it doesn't always work like this, but we always remind ourselves, listen, if you win the argument, if I win the argument, but there's still tension, then we both lose. So let's come to this from a place of what can I do better? How can I better serve you? How can I put you in a better position? I like to call it ARC communication. Okay, write this down real quick before we leave. ARC communication. If you have a problem with someone or concern with someone, try this, okay? The A stands for appreciation. Before you go tell them off or before you go place your concern, say appreciation. Give them appreciation. Tell me you appreciate them. Hey, I appreciate you for being in my life. I appreciate your growth. Acknowledge something that they're doing well. Because sometimes in relationships, all we do is beat down each other, right? That's not a relationship. That's not a team. That's more like working as opponents or enemies. So show appreciation. The R in ARC communication is reassurance. Reassure that you're on their side. Because they might have forgot, like, are you still riding with me? Are we still cool? Listen, hey, I want to see the best you. So I have to bring this to your attention. Like, there's more to your life than whatever you want to say. Reassure them that you're on their side. And then C is concern, right? Then you place your concern. I can guarantee you two things. Number one, you will be in a better place to communicate, right? You won't be communicating from a place of anger. You will be communicating from a place of concern, which is totally two different places. And the main thing is that they'll be in a better place to receive it. And I can 99% guarantee, I'm not going to say 100% because I don't know who you're dealing with, but I can 99% guarantee you that you have better communication, better connection, and connection is power, period. And so I hope that answers your question. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you guys go again to premiercollectibles.com/Trent. You guys have been asking me, Trent, I want to sign copy. I want to sign copy. And I know a lot of you can't make it to my events. I'm all over the place. This is the way to get a personal signed copy from me. So go check it out. I appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in. Like I said in every single video, it all starts with you. It's rehab time. Let's get it. Be the greatest you.